Hi, Dr. Biology here, and I hope you're all well. This video is to do with diffusion, and it's to do with the section of cell transport in AQA GCSE Biology, and it's the cell biology topic. So what I'm going to go through is the basics, the facts that you need to know for diffusion. So firstly, a definition. So you will need to learn this definition. So diffusion is the spreading out of the particles of any substance in solution or particles of a gas, resulting in a net movement from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. So here I have some particles on the outside and it's in a higher concentration, and inside the cell is a lower concentration. Some particles that would move by diffusion are things like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and urea. So as I said, particles will move from a higher to a lower concentration. So you can see a higher concentration of particles outside the cell than inside the cell. So they will move into the cell from a higher to a lower concentration. So why is diffusion important? Well, all living cells rely on diffusion to live, so they need to get raw materials for such things as respiration, so glucose and oxygen. You need to remove waste products from your cells like carbon dioxide and urea, and plants use it for photosynthesis, so diffusion occurs through the stomata at the bottom of the leaves. Diffusion is affected by three different main factors. So factors affecting the rates of diffusion. So they are temperature, concentration gradient, and surface area of membrane. Temperature. So as you can see in this diagram, you can see you've got some cold water and hot water, and some food dye has been placed into the water, and you can see that the food dye has spread much quicker in hot water. And basically, the higher the temperature, the faster the rate of diffusion. As we can see in this diagram here, at a low temperature, the particles move at a slower rate. So they're colliding with each other and they're moving around, but at a much slower rate. Therefore, a lower temperature means the rate of diffusion would be slower. Whereas in this diagram here, with a higher temperature, you can see there's more movement of the particles, and therefore there'll be a faster rate of diffusion. Second factor is concentration gradients. So concentration gradients, I like to use the analogy of a slide. So if you imagine being at the top of these slides, you need to think, well, which one will allow you to go down faster? And obviously that will be A. But in terms of concentration gradients, we need to understand that the steeper the concentration gradient, the faster diffusion takes place. So if there is a higher concentration of particles outside the cell than inside the cell, then it will be a fast rate of diffusion. And I like to think of it as the analogy of a steep slide, whereas a less steep concentration gradient, so you can see there's a lower number of particles, still a higher concentration than here, but there's a slower rate of diffusion. So it's a bit like a slide that is less steep. So the steeper the concentration gradient, the faster the rate of diffusion. Third factor affecting rates of diffusion is the surface area of the membrane. So here I've got a fish, and they have gill filaments or gills that allow them to absorb oxygen from the water. And you'll see each gill has a large surface area. So that large surface area allows as much oxygen to get in contact with the gill filaments as possible to increase the amount of diffusion. So the larger the surface area, the faster the rate of diffusion. In a next video I'm going to be talking a bit more about surface area to volume ratio and the rates of diffusion. I hope you found that useful, and please do subscribe to Dr. Biology for more useful videos for your GCSE.